Return, please return.
Let's talk about real life issues, love and relationships. Let's have a good time with the missus. Let's talk about celebrities. Let's talk about current events. Let's talk about things you don't see on regular TV. So join in on PGT Time. PGT Time. Tune in on PGT Time. PGT Time. Come join us on PGT Time. PGT Time. Join us on PGT Time. PGT Time. Yeah.
In order for y'all to do what God is calling y'all to do, to take y'all platform to where it's a plateau and it can go to levels that you never seen, they'll best believe it's gonna come with devils.
You know what I'm saying? Every time I speak, I want to shiver. You know, I don't want them to be like they know what I'm going to say because it's polite. But I know if I keep talking about how dirty it is out here, somebody going to clean it up.
Warning. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
Hey! I don't know if y'all hear it. I'm just used to pressing the button. But it's your girl, the missus with the kisses, baby. Mwah. What's goody, y'all? What's goody in your city, baby? Y'all already know. It's pretty good over here on my block. Okay, it's pretty good over here on my block. Thank y'all for joining tonight. Thank y'all for joining. I really appreciate it as always. We do have a special guest. Yes, yes, yes. I'm excited about this one tonight. I did some research and she's a very, very smart woman. She's a very smart woman. I did my research and I like her. I like her a lot. I really do. So we definitely gotta welcome our guest in tonight. Rest in peace to her daughter, Ayana Mcallister. Beautiful, beautiful young lady. And of course, you know, we always got our boy Jason in the building. So we gotta bring up Jason, baby. There he is, there he is, there we go.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah. What it do, Jason? What it do?
What up, though? Appreciate you, sis. It's good to see you. I hope all is well. Like you said, it's good over on your block, so I love hearing that.
Over here on my block, it is.
Absolutely. Likewise over here too. You know, it's
Look,
been good.
I'm
Things are
still a
good.
little stuffy though. I'm still a little stuffy. But besides that, life is life.
That's as always, you know what I'm saying? As always, and speaking about life, and guys, we want to make sure that you celebrate with us life and excitement and joy. Right before we start to say where you need to follow us, make sure that you go continue to vote for us. We are nominated for podcast of the year from Yo ATL Raps. It goes down April 27th, April 27th at the atrium in ATL, baby. So we need your votes, though. We need your help. And the best way to do that is to go vote for us. So go to yoatlraps.com and vote for us for podcast of the year. You dig? Now, after all of doing all that, make sure you come back in the chat and say, hey, how you doing? And say, we voted. Because you can vote at least one time, once a day. You can always vote once a day. So please make sure you do that. Voting closes on April 1st. So make sure that you guys go get your votes in. Secondly, please make sure that you hit the follow button, hit that like, hit the subscribe and the bell notification if you're over on YouTube. I'm gonna get to that one. Don't worry.
I thought I missed it actually.
But make sure that you guys hit that bell notification and also hit that thumbs up on YouTube. And if you're on any of the other platforms like Facebook, hit that thumbs up, hit the heart button, do a little different. Let's see the hearts come up. You know what I'm saying? We can see if you guys are liking and whatnot, but hit those hearts and see, make a little bit of a change today. You dig? But make sure that you share this with some friends, let them know what's going on, and let them know that PGT time is on right now. And my last thing I need to tell you, shout out to all of our Instagrammers. Appreciate you guys being over there, kicking it with us on Instagram. Make sure that you continue to tap the like button as well. Share this out to a few peeps. But before we move on, you need to make sure that you went over to Roku TV or any Roku device and download PGT Time. That's right. We're over on Roku. That is a Roku TV or device. And then you'll be able to watch us on your big screen. You know what I'm saying? I know most of y'all have about 75, 80-inch TVs in your home. So we'll really appreciate you if you go ahead to your Roku devices, head over to PGT Time. That's time spelled with the Y. TYME, and it's just like how you find Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, or Prime, any of those television apps. You'll find ours just the exact same way. Then that way you don't miss a heartbeat when we go live.
You did such a wonderful job. I don't know if the hand.
We got to make sure, we got to touch all the bases.
You did
right?
great. You did great. Dr. Tyrese, that's what we call the announcement time. That was the announcement time that you just saw. Okay. So we have to give our announcements and everything. So Jason, you did an awesome job. You did a very awesome job.
Thank you.
As always. All right, y'all. So we are about to go ahead and bring up Miss Tyrese, Dr. Tyrese, that is. Y'all gonna hear me say doctor a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because she deserved that title.
I mean, that's a strong accolade. You know what I mean?
Yes.
A master's is hard. And then you say, I need my doctorate. We're gonna go back for another X amount of years to that's the last stage, I think, ain't it? So in the world of education, that's the last stage as the doctorate. I don't think you can get higher than a doctorate.
I think it is.
If you can.
I can't find it. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Here it is right here. I said, you know what? I said, Dr. Tyrese Mcallister, she deserved this, what I'm finna do right now. Okay, she deserved this. Let me introduce her up. Okay, Jason. Like we was at the award show or something. And that's how I'm gonna do this right now. Let me introduce Dr. Tyrese Mcallister up. Dr. Tyrese Mcallister has over 25 years of experience providing quality mental health services. She specializes in emergency mental health, helping individuals experiencing both crisis and or traumatic events. Tyrese has a master's of art in counseling psychology and a postmaster's certificate in addiction counseling from Johns Hopkins University. She is licensed in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and holds the specialized certification that allows her to supervise counselors seeking supervision for licensure. She is a certified sex offender treatment provider and certified clinical trauma treatment specialist. Her areas of expertise are crisis, post-traumatic stress disorder, and grief, in addition to counseling individuals experiencing psychiatric disorders and crisis. Tyrese is skilled at helping individuals work through some of life challenges, specifically anger management, conflict resolution, coping skills, and stress management.
Amen.
Damn it, let's bring up Tyrese Mcallister. Here she is, baby.
Hello.
Baby, you deserve all that. You deserve
Thank
all
you so
that.
much.
You are so welcome. Thank you so much for coming here to PGT Time, taking the time out of your day to come and tell us your loved one's story, your baby, your daughter, Ayana Mcallister. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
You are
Thank you
truly
for having me.
definitely. Now, um, tell us when you received the message from me that we wanted you to come along on Peach Tea Time and share your loved one story, your daughter. How did you feel in that moment?
I felt grateful because of your platform that a lot of times we experience homicides in our community and it doesn't get the airplay as when other people, children get killed. I think that's great. Also because my daughter was killed in 2017, that somebody's still interested in the story because, people tend to go on with their life. And because the homicide rate, especially in our community, is extremely high, we cannot afford to forget Ayana or anybody else child who's been killed because we've got to be able to do something about gun violence. So while I say all the time that there's nothing I can do for Ayana right now, I'm out here doing this work. I'm in these streets to save everybody else's kid so that they don't have to go through what me and my family have gone through.
Exactly,
So I'm
exactly.
grateful.
And you're definitely out there doing a great job, may I add. And that's one of the things that I do want to focus on tonight, just as well, how you was able to do so much after the fact, just as well. You didn't just willow and cry your life away. You know there was something that had to be done. There was some changes that had to be made out here in these streets, and you put that first foot forward. And over here at PGT Time, we are very, very proud of you for that.
Thank
We
you.
are
Yes,
very
we
proud
are.
of you.
Yes, we are.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Yes. So we're gonna get started. Tell us a little a bit about Ayana when she was
Ayana is our
growing
young.
up and everything.
Okay, Ayana is our youngest child, the little sister of Deja. Now my children, my girls were 13 months apart, so they grew up not only as sisters but really best friends. They were away at college together. They had come home on break, and they actually brought her roommate home with her because they were always bringing kids to my house for something. But brought her roommate from Atlanta home with her. And the girls were hanging out with friends in the district in with DC. And somebody shot from the distance. So there was no argument, no fight or anything. Somebody just shot her. Ayana had never had a fight. So she was a very good girl, got good grades in school. She played basketball. And she had the most infectious smile ever, right? Like she could light up a room. She was also, other than a basketball player, she was a fashionista. So there would be times she wanted to get her nails done and wear earrings. And I'm asking her, "Are you balling this weekend? Like you can't get your nails done and ball." So she had that kind of conflict because she loved being on the team, but she also, it's funny because Ayana was a very shy young girl and kind of nerdy. They wore cornrows. People used to call my girls Venus and Serena because they wore the cornrows with all the beads. And I remember when she was going into high school, she asked me could she take not wear glasses, she wanted contacts, and she wanted to perm her hair. And I was like, ah. And my oldest daughter called it her glow up, right? And from my nerdy little awkward child, when rolled into high school, a beautiful diva, and I was like, whoa. So
Oh, she froze for a little bit. She froze for a little bit. But she gonna come back, y'all. She is gonna come back. This is Dr. TYREESE McAllister. While she's coming back, what we're gonna do, Jason, we are going to get into our first clip for the night. We're gonna give her time to come on back. Okay, there she goes. Okay, we
I
see
don't know
you.
what happened.
You have froze for a little bit. Look, we
The,
was about
the
to
devil
almost
don't want
start
me to
doing
say
the
what I
clip.
got to say.
That's okay. We finna shut him up right now because God wins at all times. Shout out to God. Shout out to God. He always wins over here at PGT Tap. But yeah, so one of the things that I saw, first of all, there was so many clips, y'all. Like Dr. TYREESE was out here on her boots to the ground. What they call boots to the ground.
Mm.
She was out here doing her thing. Like it was so many clips. So we couldn't get them all. But I do remember one of the clips. I don't even know if I have it or not, but I remember you saying on one of the clips that stuck out to me. And it reminded me of another family that came on just as well. But you mentioned that you was not living in that type of environment with your children.
Mm-hmm.
Like you was in a decent, good neighborhood, and you didn't expect that type of crime will happen in that area. So can you elaborate more on that?
Absolutely. And I think it's a very important message because, and I'll give you an example. I grew up in the 80s in Newark, New Jersey, in the midst of the crack epidemic. So, right around the time that drive-bys were really happening, right? And throughout high school and college, I never knew anybody who was killed by gun violence personally. So, here I am, 20 years later, raising girls in the suburbs. Now we got cameras inside and outside of our house. My kids grew up in a 2-parent household. We worship together as a family. And I have daughters. So I'm expecting maybe pregnant before I'm ready to be a grandmother, but I'm never expecting homicide of my daughters. And that's what happened. And so I like to tell people that, we are living in a time that we cannot be lulled to sleep thinking this is never going to touch us, because it can touch you. And I didn't have kids that were out here fighting and menacing. My kids were initially in private school, in a Christian school, and then went to public school, and then got to college. So I'm thinking we are out of the woods with most of the things that parents really worry about. And it just was not the case. 3 months before my daughter was killed, my cousin was killed by gun violence as well. So, and again, 2-parent household, parents have careers, parents are in church. We're raising our children in church, in an environment, a healthy, wholesome family. And so because we have believed, and I too have believed that this happens in certain neighborhoods to certain people, but it's just not true.
You're right. Whew. You is preaching to us tonight, baby. Let's go ahead. Let's get to this first clip. And because there's another question, since you told us all of this. There's another question that I want to ask you, Dr. Tyrese, just as well. So let's start into this first clip.
Right now, and off script, it's a familiar scene. Blue lights, yellow tape, and a white glow of a flashlight searching for evidence. This is 18-year-old Ayana Mcallister, and this is where the college student, she was home from spring break, and this is where she was shot last night. She later died from her injuries in Northeast. Mcallister was one of 2 women hit by gunfire near Benning Road in Northeast D.C. Ayana lived in Upper Marlboro with a family. She was a freshman attending college in North Carolina. Family members tell off script Ayana was with her sister, taking part in a video being produced in Northeast when a gunman, perched on a hill, he just opened fire for apparently no reason. Police say a second woman was also shot, but she suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Police say they have no motive at this point for the shootings. There's no evidence of a confrontation before the gunman opened fire, multiple rounds fired into the crowds. Tonight, they're offering a reward for any information that leads to an arrest. Late today, the slain student's aunt shared these remarks with Off Script.
The one thing about Ayana is that she's always wants to help other people and to serve other people. A beautiful angel. They lost a beautiful angel, full of life. She loved people. Every time you see her, she had a big smile on her face, and she made everybody else around her smile. God had great things for her. I'm not sure why her life was taken. She will always be remembered with that big smile on her face.
Those suspects who started shooting at a group filming a music video are still out there. 18-year-old Ayana Mcallister is now dead. And Stephanie tells us the victim is from Upper Marlboro, and she was on spring break from her North Carolina college. Steph?
Yeah, Leslie, there's really so many things wrong with this story. Tonight, we learned that the victim was a criminal justice major at St. Augustine University. Police tell me she was part of a state police cadet program. And the university says yesterday was Ayana Mcallister's first day of spring break.
She will always be remembered with that big smile on her face.
A Largo High School grad who loved basketball, who loved people, according to Angela Wright, a close family friend who said without a doubt, 18-year-old Ayana Mcallister had a bright future.
I loved Ayana. Nickname was Lolly. Beautiful, beautiful, talented, intelligent young lady.
Those close to the investigation tell WUSA 9 on Monday night, a suspect in a car with a getaway driver opened fire on a group of friends believed to be filming a music video in Northeast D.C. near Benning Road and 44th Street. 2 women were shot. McAllister died from her injuries the next day. Police say the 18-year-old college freshman from Upper Marlboro, Maryland, was an innocent bystander.
My reaction was anger. One of the important things is that people feel safe.
Ward 7 council member and former D.C. Mayor Vince Gray says this is why he's pushing for 4,200 police officers in the district. But he tells us right now he's also concerned we're becoming complacent.
Tune some of this stuff out to pretend it's not as serious as it appears it is, or it's just something we should come to expect, which is terrible if that happens.
The violence needs to stop. There's too many young people out there who are lost. They need help.
And sources tell us McAllister's sister was also there when the shooting happened. She's also a freshman in St. Augustine. The two had started college together, and now the university is planning a memorial service in addition to the family's funeral arrangements. Leslie?
This is just not supposed to happen. All right, thanks, Stephanie. There is $25,000 out there for the person who can lead police to Ayana's killers, and you can remain anonymous. Just call or text the number you see right now on your screen.
All right. Okay, Dr. Tyrese, I told you when I talked to you that, my show was a little different, It's not scripted. We don't write out questions. We go off the vibe and everything. So I just gotta say this. You raise your kids in the church, 2-parent household, lived in a good neighborhood, did everything you was supposed to do as parents, raised 2 good girls. She go off to college. Both your girls go off to college. They bring an extra friend back to you in your household that's from out of town. And your daughter gets shot and killed. And this other young lady that came from out of town, she got shot, but she was grazed. Thank God she made it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep the faith? How do you keep going? How do you pour so much into the community? And they still have not caught the killers. Let me put my banner up. I'm slipping, girl. Yeah, answer that. If you know something, say something. Help this family. I got to make sure we have this banner up.
Mm-hmm. So how do I keep going? Well, first of all, it's interesting because the girls had come home on Thursday, and that Sunday, I remember being in church and being extremely proud. I mean, being very, very proud. Everybody in our church was happy to see our girls because they've grown up in church, and just really feeling honored and proud to get my kids to college, because I did not grow up necessarily in a 2-parent household in a safe neighborhood, and only got to college by the skin of my teeth. Let me say that. Right? Because I wasn't always doing all the right things. Right. So here I am with the husband to be. My husband and I had just celebrated 25 years. I didn't know people who had good marriages. So like, I'm really feeling myself in this moment. And I remember saying to God, I'm going to always praise you. I'm going to always praise you. And when you say something, God will put you to a test. I just wasn't expecting a test that soon. So Monday night, my daughter is shot, and Tuesday morning, she's dead. And I think it's important to know that people do lose their faith when things like this happen. And I thank God I never did. I thank God that I had that conversation with him on Sunday, and that Monday I was able to pass the test, because I think that's important. Because it's one thing for me to comfort somebody when they're grieving, but when you go through it yourself, it can look different. And people have been angry with God, and being angry with God is okay. And as a therapist, I say that all the time. God got big shoulders. He can handle you being angry. He expects you to be angry, like it's okay. But I just thank God that I never was in that place. I really believe that out of everybody that I know, I was totally built for this. I believe honestly that God had been preparing me for this. If you think about it, at that time, I had done 25 years as an emergency services therapist, meaning I showed up on homicide sites when other people's kids got killed, right? That I had been doing the work way before Ayana was even born. I was doing this work,
Wow.
right? And God had prepared me for this. I also had an amazing circle of family and friends, my church family, my sorority sisters, my husband's fraternity. And me and my husband, neither one of us are from the DMV area. We're not from Maryland, but you would not be able to tell that when my family came down, and they came down quite, pretty immediately. They were shocked at the amount of support we had. Because like I said, we are not from here. But our support system was amazing. And I tell people, with the amount of love that was in our home immediately, it was no way that you can hate anything or anybody. It was so much love poured on us during that time. It was no hate. I also know as a therapist that people deal with adverse childhood experiences, and that children are not born monsters. So even the person who killed Ayana, I was able to forgive that person immediately. I don't know their story. I don't need to know their story, but I know that people aren't born monsters, but something happens that changes people's trajectory, right? Why they picked up a gun, why they shoot, and why they out in the community menacing, I have no idea. But I know it's interesting watching my sorority sister Angela talk about we have got to do something. In 2017, when Ayana was killed, 100 people a day were getting killed. And most of those people look like us. And for us, the people who are perpetrating those crimes also look like us. Today, it's 120 people a day getting killed. So 7 years later, not decrease the number of people getting killed, but the number has increased. And so we keep saying people got to do something, and we're expecting politicians to come and save us. They not coming. Newsflash, they not coming. We got to save ourselves. So when you say, if you know something, say something, we got to change some things in our community, because the gun laws are not going to protect Black people from this. Because people who are dangerous don't care about laws. They don't know them, and they don't care even if they did know them. We got to stop the knots. I don't snitch, right? We got to say something. Mothers, you got to turn your sons in if you know they got guns. Or your daughters, you got to turn them in, because it is better for you to visit your child in prison for having an illegal gun than to visit them in prison because they actually murdered somebody, or you're funeralizing your kid because they've killed themselves, right? So we got to have some hard conversations in our community and in our family about what we really dealing with, because now it's 120 a day. In a few years, it'll be 140 a day.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should wait until it comes to our door. My daughter was killed in 2017, but before she finished high school, she had been to 5 funerals. Her and her sister had been to 5 funerals before they got out of high school. That is unheard of. That's traumatic. And when our kids are dealing with that on a regular basis, the real issue is that there's trauma, and violence is a trauma response. We're not talking about that in our community, that there is no place for our children to go when they're losing friends. So when they pick up a gun to feel safe, and when they act out to feel safe, it's not necessarily that they're menacing. We got to have these hard conversations in our community.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%. 100%. That's why, I have people, Dr. Tyrese, and these people, some are my friends and some was my friends, that when I started PGT time, they was looking at me like I was crazy. Like, why are you showing crime all the time? Don't you want to do some of this or do some of that? Throw in some of that celebrity gossip and some of this. And I'm like, I tried. I tried. God pushed me over here and said, this is what I want you to do.
And you better listen.
And I better
You
listen.
better listen to God.
And that's
When
the
I
thing.
tell
Listening is important.
yes, me, Jason, and my husband have helped so many families. So many families by coming on here just telling their loved one story. You know, we're gonna get into another clip. Now, this is the clip from your daughter is Nadeja, right? That's how
In
you pronounce
danger.
it.
In danger.
Nadeja.
Her sister.
Okay, her
And
sister.
Deja is the daughter that I think you're going to show. And Aquila, it was Ayana's roommate in college.
Her roommate in college. All right. Now, the clip that y'all about to see, they are going to explain to us what happened that particular night. They was the one that was there. This is what happened.
A student that went here, he invited us to a video shoot or whatnot. It was in DC, which we didn't know we were in danger or not. Like, it was no altercations, no signs of danger or nothing like that. We didn't know. So we went to his video shoot. Everything was cordial. Everything was fine. Everybody was shooting. Everybody was talking. It was just a civil shoot. I think we were getting in a car or something like that, and then we just heard the gunshots. It was just so fast. Like, I don't even remember a lot from that moment to now. Like, it just was that, and then it was just so fast. Like, you would have never thought of it. It was no signs of it gonna happen. Like, you know how you usually hear somebody fussing and stuff like that. It was none of that.
We were in a neighborhood. It was apartment. It was an apartment complex, parking lot. So we were there, and she said we were at a friend's video shoot. And when the video shoot was wrapping up, we were getting ready to leave. And all of a sudden, we heard gunshots coming from the left. It's like a hill and some steps. So that's where the shooter was. He wasn't in a car. He was out. And we didn't see the shooter, and it was dark. We didn't hear anything. All we heard was the gunshots, and it really sounded like fireworks at first. So we didn't know what was going on, and then we seen everybody else ducking. So then we ducked down, and then when we got up, when the gunshots stopped, we got up, and Ayana didn't get up. And she was on the ground. She was still talking. She was like, I can't move. I think I got shot. And me and Quilla, we started panicking, and she was like, calm down, I'm okay, I just can't move. So then I was panicking, but it was little kids out there riding bikes. It was like a regular neighborhood. Like, it could have been anybody. It could have been the 7-year-old who was riding his bike or anything. So one of the ladies who were out, who I guess lived in the neighborhood, she called the police for me because I couldn't talk or anything. And she told them where we were, because we didn't even know where we were to even tell the ambulance to come get her or anything. We had no idea where we were. So the lady told the ambulance, and they came.
You know how you panic so much, you don't know how long, it just feel like a long time. It seemed like it was 10 minutes for them to get there. It seemed like a long time for them to get there, and I feel like ambulance should be faster than that.
And when the ambulance got there, they took forever to pull off, and and my sister was just on the ground. They threw her on a stretcher. They didn't let me or her ride in the ambulance. They didn't tell us what hospital she was going to. So it was just a lot going on at one time.
And we nothing ever happened to us like that. So for us, for that to happen out of nowhere, it caught us off guard. I didn't know what to do. My adrenaline was so I didn't even know I got grazed until I got in a car.
Dr. Tyrese, how did you deal with Deja after being that she has to witness this? How did you with therapy?
I'm a therapist, so we went right into making sure that she was okay, supporting her. I took off work several weeks when I took her back to college at the end of spring break. I had to take off my job. I said, I need to be available in case my child needs me, but just try to normalize her life as much as possible. It is very hard for Deja. Even 7 years later, she does not like to be home alone. So if my husband and I are not home, she, the trauma is real. And I think, a lot of times we don't get to see that, because even people see me do interviews and travel and hang out and have fun, and they're like, you're handling it so well. And I guess if well was a thing, I guess you could say that. But there are times that people don't get to see, right? Because I'm not going to put me rolling on the floor on Facebook, right? So people don't get to see that. But trauma is real, and these are losses that you cannot get over, right? Parents should never have to bury their children. It is unnatural. And so having to do anything like that is really hard. And then to try to keep your household together. I know that a lot of people have divorced after they have a homicide of a kid. So, I'm grateful that my husband, 7 years later, we still like each other. We still, are able to, have a decent marriage. It's hard though, because you know the other thing is people don't want to admit when they have issues, or like anxiety jumps up, or there's insomnia, and we don't want to equate those are symptoms of trauma, that you're not able to sleep a full night, or that you drinking or smoking, right? Like let's be real. Our children are smoking a lot of marijuana. Why are they smoking so much marijuana? Why are they smoking all day? Because they have trauma in their lives, and we not having these conversations. We're not having it with the children. We're not having it amongst ourselves, and we're not having it with our politicians. The conversations we're having are just the wrong conversations
Exactly.
for our community.
So I have a question, and it just sparks my mind, especially with you being a therapist. Did you personally get into a work mode and kind of like work through therapy sessions or steps for yourself, or did you go see someone to kind of help you manage, your mental and your space and your mindset?
I actually did, and I approached it from a spiritual aspect. I really felt like God had me on an assignment. There were certain things that I feel that God was telling me to do that was not on my bucket list, nothing that I actually wanted to do, but that God had positioned me to do it. Like I wrote a book, I wrote a children's book, because when my daughter was killed, I looked for a children's book to help the children in my family understand why their 18-year-old cousin was killed. When I could not find a book and was surprised that I couldn't find it in our community, I wrote a book, and I believe it's inspired by God. Also, not too long after my daughter was killed, we were in COVID. So it's almost like God gave me all of the time I needed to do the other things I needed to do. Right. And I looked at, I know COVID was horrible for a lot of people, but for me, it was a gift because it got me still. I have a community of friends and a community of therapists. So I didn't have to go take a 50-minute session with a therapist.
Right.
I'm not beyond therapy though. Don't get me wrong. And I have talked to a therapist. I just didn't talk to a therapist at that time for that reason, because I think God was dealing with me differently. But I'm not
Understood.
opposed to it. My husband did go to therapy, and I think it was helpful for him. And my daughter did therapy as well. And while I did not go to a therapist that I had to pay a copay and all of that with, I talked to and was able to process my grief spiritually and with friends who were therapists. I do think that we do have to do better with being able to process it, because there are things that come out in processing whatever the issues are, because it don't have to be grief, that it's different than when you just kind of dealing with it yourself. And I think people, because of the stigma of having issues or mental health stuff go on, people don't want to go. But I find that my clients who come to therapy, sometimes kicking and screaming after a few sessions, they like, wow, I'm glad I came, because it hits differently when you could process with somebody who is skilled and able to help you get through some stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
I went to therapy for the first time when I lost my son, and I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go at all. I had never been, and I found myself going inside of the store because I was pregnant when I lost him, and I would find myself taking my son's stuff back to the store, but I was pregnant with twins, Dr. TYREESE. So my daughter was still pushing. She was still doing good. And I would take the stuff in the store, happy go lucky. This is my first daughter. I'm finna decorate the whole room for her now and come back to the car and boohoo crying. Like instantly. And that's when I knew, okay, I need some type of help.
Yeah.
And it helped me. It really did help me a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was crazy. I didn't
Yeah,
think
you're not crazy. Like we did. First of all, let me say I'm sorry for your loss, but we got to realize that we have lots of losses throughout our life, and they're not always easy to handle. And you might be handling them okay, but if with therapy you could handle them optimally, right? Like you can really and grow from it, because I think that's the thing. A lot of the pain that we deal with in life is not necessarily for us. While I lost my daughter and it was a very painful experience, it put me on a very different path to be able to help and support other people who've had losses. It ain't about me or it ain't about Ayana, right? But God has stuff for me to do that I probably couldn't do as well without having suffered my own pain, right?
Exactly.
And so even writing that book, I don't even think I could have wrote that book like I did without having this experience. Like and I had lots of experiences before then, and I just think what I would like to see people do is allow God to use them, because we can do some amazing things if we do.
Exactly. Exactly. Now I do want to get into the second part of this clip just as well. This is more of Quella talking. Okay. And I brought that up in the beginning just as well with Quella coming down there from college just as well. Whole nother state, don't know nobody, and she come to visit. Here we
First
go.
happened, I felt it, and they was like, "Girl, be quiet, get down, get down. You didn't feel anything." I'm like, "Yes, I did, yes, I did." So I'm just holding my arm. And then after the fact of everybody getting up, she didn't get up. It just like stopped, like it just went away. The pain just went away, and I couldn't like feel anything. But once we got in the car, we just settled down, started calling people and stuff like that. I seen like a hole in my jacket, so I was like, "What in the world?" Like I know I felt something, but I forgot about it because it was like a lot going on. So I'm like, "What is going on? Like, why is it a hole in my jacket?" So took off the jacket. Then I had a white shirt on, and it was a hole in that, and it was just like blood and stuff like that. And I just like I didn't know what to do. Like I was just so scared. And I went to the hospital, and I was in Maryland, so I was away from home. I'm from Georgia, so my insurance I didn't know nothing. But it was blood still. But it was like painful. Like afterwards, it was painful. Like my arm really was sore. It was crazy. Like and then if I was turned any like I always think if I was turned any other angle.
Aquila Brown is left with a physical reminder of just how close she was to an horrific end.
My whole family was just they were just so upset. Because I could have been with Yana right now.
And Deja recounts the last hours of Ayana's life.
She went through surgery, and we were in the waiting room she was like admitted into surgery and like around 9:30 p.m. and she kept going into cardiac arrest. So they put her in ICU until she can get stable. And that night, my grandmother and I went home around like 3 o'clock in the morning, and my parents stayed at the hospital. And me and my grandma's plans was to come back to the hospital around 10 a.m. But around 8:30, my mom called my grandma and was like, "Y'all need to hurry up and get up here." And she wouldn't tell us what was going on, just that we needed to hurry up and get there. So by the time we got there, when I turned the corner, I seen my mom crying and hugging my dad. And
All right. That was a lot. That was a lot. That was a lot. Again, I can't stress enough how you said that you guys have moved to a whole nother environment. You know, so many people, Dr. Tyrese, feel like they can move out, you know, and nothing will happen to them. Now, I'm not saying, you know, that if you got some money and you're able to move out of poverty, go on and move. We're not saying stay around where the violence is really, really occurring more at. You know what I'm saying? If you're able to leave, leave. But just always know that it can happen to anybody. That's what this story is. Nobody was looking for Ayana. She wasn't out doing wrong. She was out enjoying herself. They said she was majoring in criminal justice.
Yeah, she was also a cadet. She worked
Yeah.
with the Maryland State Police Department in a program, and she would come home once a month to do their activities and service. And she wanted to be a metropolitan police officer. She really wanted to be like a SVU detective.
You know, I bet you the killer probably like, God, I hit the wrong person. You know, he probably do care a little bit. You know, like this was not supposed to happen. This was one of those situations that was not supposed to happen. None of it. It never supposed to happen. But she was a true innocent bystander.
Yeah.
That's what she was.
So I was grateful for a lot of things. I was grateful, first of all, that Quilla, who's also one of my babies, was not more injured than she was. I was able to get through burying my own child. I really see that as God's word. I don't know if somebody else's child on my watch got killed, how I would handle that. I don't think it would have been well. So that was hard, even calling her mother and saying to her mother, "Why your child is with me?" That something horrible has happened. So that was hard. But there was something else I wanted to say. I think it's important that we understand it's not a poverty issue. Like, my children have not known poverty. I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, in the wild, wild west, you could call it, right? My kids never knew that lifestyle. When they heard the gunshots, they thought it was firecrackers, because my children had not been accustomed to hearing fire, shots fired. And so, and my kids grew up in a very loving household where we have loving friends. So my kids grew up really thinking that people aren't bad, and we had to kind of school them, like, no, you got to be careful. Like, there's bad people out here, even though that's not what you're used to, because they grew up with my husband and our friends who were loving towards them. And we were protective parents. Like you, in your introduction, you said I work with sex offenders. Ayana used to because my kids couldn't do the spending the night. I'm like, I don't know who that is. Right. Me and my husband had cameras inside and outside of our homes. Like, we were those parents, and so, but you just don't know. And the fact that my kids had gone to 5 funerals is a testament to, these are classmates. We live in the suburbs. Upper Marlboro, Maryland is the suburbs of DC. And not that we don't have, our share of stuff, but it's not really about that. Like, there are people who are driving through the city or driving in the suburbs, and there's gunplay. And so nobody's really safe. I mean, they're shooting up schools, churches, clubs, grocery stores, in the community, in your car, you can get carjacked. Like, the issue really is, again, we got to have those hard conversations. There is really no place that we safe. And my husband just was telling me about some kind of concert that's coming to the area. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I just don't know. Like, I don't even want to go out and enjoy myself in a crowd that's too big. And one of the things my daughter said too, and I think this is important, she said, we didn't even know where we were. They didn't know they were in DC. They didn't know, because it's literally where my daughter got killed or shot is really probably 10 minutes from my home. She didn't realize she was in DC, but she also didn't realize when trouble hit, if she was the only one standing, she would not have been able to call the police to come get her. We got to have those kind of conversations. Now, when my daughters went to college, we gave them the talk. If you drinking, you don't let nobody get your drink. You don't leave your drink unattended, right? I never had the conversation. You need to know where you at all times. When I go to a movie theater, I'm now watching. Any place I go, what's my exit strategy before I get comfortable? Right? We have to have these conversations. And it's unfortunate that we have to live like this. And it's unfortunate that I have to teach my children. And I have a 5-year-old grandson now. And I've got to teach my grandchild about this type of stuff. But this is the reality we live in. And we got to have these hard conversations with our friends and our family and really talk about what we're going to do. And, my husband and I created a foundation, and we struggle with the foundation. Like, I don't understand why everybody is not doing something about guns. None of us are safe.
Exactly. This tragedy, Dr. TYREESE, for you was a blessing and a curse. And let me explain that. A curse because Ayana's not coming back. No matter what we do, we can't bring her back. But we know she's in a doggone better place. And the blessing from it, even though it seems so bad, even though it seems so bad that her sister was there and her friend was there and they could have been killed too. But that's the blessing. Dr. TYREESE, you got closure. as far as knowing what happened
You're right.
that
And
night.
I've considered that. Well, first of all, I was grateful again because it could have both of my kids could have been killed. And my
Exactly.
daughter's roommate could have been killed on my watch. So I'm grateful. But also Deja being there, I'm so comfortable with the information I got. I think if I
Yes.
didn't have Deja there myself, I will always question what
Yep.
really happened.
Yep.
But feel comfortable that Deja was able to share it and that Ayana wasn't alone. I also am grateful because I've been on homicide scenes through my work that my daughter did not get killed on the scene, have to lay on the ground for hours. Because
Yes.
I don't know how people can do that one. Lay on the ground for hours while the family is standing around and you cannot do anything. That my daughter did make it to the hospital and that I was able to hold her hand and communicate with her before she transitioned. And I say transition because I know she's in heaven. I feel very comfortable that my husband and I did an amazing job with our kids. And that even because they normal kids, everybody used to be like, oh, your girls are so good. They normal kids. They still share stuff too. Like, no, I don't want people to think because people have said
Right.
that, like,
Yeah.
your daughters were good. No, they good girls, right? But they young people. And so young people do things. And my child deserved to live just like if she did not do everything she was supposed to do. Even if she was out there, nobody kids deserve to be killed, even when they're menacing and doing wrong. What they deserve is some help. What they deserve is unconditional love from their family and the community so that we can get them some help. We cannot afford to throw away any of our children, even when they acting out. And I think that's important to say. A lot of times people want to, dismiss children who are selling drugs and who have guns and who are doing bad things. But we cannot afford to throw away any of our children. And our children are acting out because of other stuff that have happened. And we got to have those conversations too.
Exactly. Now, what are some of the things that you did? Because you said that you will go to some of the homicide sites. What did you do there? You talked to the families
Most of
there?
the time we would talk to the family and help the family with resources. Like a lot of times people don't know that there is victims assistance money to help people bury their kids or their family members. They can get free counseling or support. Usually cities do have that as well. So we would give them the resources. We would do what I would call immediate symptom relief because a lot of times when people are in crisis, they can't think. They're not able to, figure out who to call or what to do, what's the next step. People forget to eat, people don't drink, or people go to some other stuff. So we would really just kind of help the police manage the family so that they can do their investigation and the family is not in the way. And also it can be helpful if in the beginning of your crisis, you have somebody there that can be supportive. So that is amazing work that I've been able to do for many, many years. Love doing the work, love being of service to my community in that way. And it's a special gift, right? It is it's a gift to be able when all hell is breaking loose for everybody else that you can stay calm and really help families pull it together. So I'm grateful to have had that opportunity. And it prepared me. A lot of people said, well, you were able to do well because you have a master's degree in counseling. And I'm like, I got God, because that's really who kept it together for me.
Exactly.
Right. And for my family, right? Like I just can't, I'm God's girl. So I can't, just go to the education and academia because I ain't learned nothing in school that helped me lose a daughter. But it was God who showed up,
Yeah.
right? Right at that moment. And there was so many other things. Like my husband and I are very busy. We always been busy. In the evening, we not home together. Like he's doing what he do, I'm doing what I do. And then by the time we both get home, it's bedtime. But that night, when we got the call from Deja, we were both home. I mean, God orchestrated that. The month before Ayana got killed, we were in Cancun celebrating our anniversary. We could have been out of the country. Like God had orchestrated so many things, even around this horrific situation. I couldn't help but to be grateful. Even though I lost my daughter, but I know that I'm a Christian. I know that my daughter is a Christian, and that we'll be together soon. We'll be together in our lifetime. And so I'm very grateful for that. And I just, it is a horrible thing, but we gonna have life be life. And you said at the beginning of the show, right? Like we don't get to determine what happens to us, but we do get to determine how we show up.
Yep.
Amen.
And that's how I wanted to show up with grace, right? I wanted to show up. And I felt because God allowed me to be able to forgive. And I say God allowed me to be able to forgive because it wouldn't be my first go-to. I'm from North. That ain't how we began. Right. But it wouldn't, but God allowed me to have the grace to be able to do it and a platform to be able to talk about it because our children are in trouble. Even the children who are menacing, they are in trouble. And if we don't do something about it as a community, as family, we gonna be in a real bad position. Y'all see what's about to go down with this election? We gonna be in a bad position. We got to pull it together. And only we can save ourselves. Politicians, even when they look like us, we cannot legislate people's hearts. We cannot give laws that's going to make people change their heart. We got to do some real work in our community and addressing some issues and not be so selfish and chasing after money, but really start helping some of these kids for real, for real.
Exactly. Well, we're about to get into our last clip before we get into our tribute and to our Wednesday night commercial. So here's our last clip of Ayana.
Wrestle to strengthen gun laws, families who have lost relatives. And as lawmakers wrestle to strengthen gun laws, families who have lost relatives to violence are also working to find solutions. Joining us live in the studio is WDVM Cheyenne Corey. Now, Cheyenne, you actually talked with a mother who says she is desperate and determined. Why is that?
So that desperation comes because she says too little is being done to address gun violence in the Black community. Her determination comes from having lost her own daughter to gun violence.
I was doing some research and saw the numbers for gun violence and just went into an instant depression. Like, it's happening, but when you look at the numbers, it's just devastating.
Now, you just heard from the co-founder of the Ayana Mcallister Legacy Foundation. It focuses on communities of color that are disproportionately impacted by gun violence. According to Johns Hopkins Center for Gun Violence Solutions, Black people are at highest risk for gun homicides, more than 12 times more likely to be a victim of gun homicide than their white counterparts. I spoke with Mcallister and her husband about their journey to triumph over tragedy and how they're keeping their daughter's legacy alive 5 years after her murder. Today is her birthday, and she would have been 24 years old.
Every time I hear about another person getting killed by a gun or a mass shooting, or if shootings in the Black community or any community, it's like a gut punch. So imagine, I'm getting gut punched every day.
But no gut punch is like the one she felt in 2017, the day her 18-year-old daughter was shot and killed while visiting home from college over her spring break.
When someone is killed or someone is harmed, you kill that person, but that person is no longer here, but you leave behind grieving parents, grieving siblings.
A true daddy's girl and the heartbeat of the house is how Ayana's father describes his daughter. Ayana, affectionately known as Lollipop, was in school studying criminal justice. She also was a part of Maryland State Police's cadet program, working towards becoming a metropolitan police officer.
So this show airs on her birthday. I mean, she was definitely a beautiful girl, inside and out, beautiful disposition.
While Ayana's killer has never been found, the Mcallisters turned their pain into purpose. They created the Ayana Mcallister Legacy Foundation to address the everyday gun violence that occurs among Black and brown people.
One of the things that I often have told my wife that I never want her name to be forgotten. And I think the foundation really helps us do that. And although we're continuing to keep her name lifted, we're able to do work and help other people in the midst.
Ayana's mom also is a therapist and thinks a lot of people who commit these violent acts are hurting and need healing, which is why she forgave her daughter's killer, saying no parent should have to bury their child, but they shouldn't have to visit them in prison either.
We should all be able to get behind community safety. And I find it disgusting that we are arguing about if we can be safe or not, or who gets to have a gun or the gun laws. We got to come together and do better, America.
And this Sunday, the foundation is having its annual Hoops Against Gun Violence basketball tournament. It's a community-driven public safety program to reduce gun violence in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. We have information on our website, localdvm.com, on how you can attend. Back to you, Thusmeen.
Okay, y'all, that was an old clip. Okay, that was an old clip. So the basketball ain't finna happen right now. Now, tell us some of the things that your foundation does.
We have some amazing programs. Thank you so much for the platform to share. One, we are, if you go to our website, ayanamcallister.com, we are getting to be April, we are going to be announcing our scholarship. In the week that Ayana was killed, we had collected over $10,000. My husband and I thought it would be appropriate to help a kid go to college. But before Ayana was buried, 5 or 6 more people had gotten shot in the area. So I said, you know what, with that kind of information, we can't just send somebody to school. We got to really do something. So we put together a foundation with the help of my husband's fraternity brother and friend, and started our foundation. So every year we do Hoops Against Gun Violence, where we have kids come in the gym and play organized basketball all day long. That's just to get them off the street. But guess what? While they in the gym, we got employers, we got spaces for youth entrepreneurs that we do not charge them for, so that we can support kids who are doing something positive or get kids to do something. If kids are busy, we can't ask kids to put down guns and not pick up a paycheck. Kids are out here menacing for money too, right? Like this carjacking is really an economic thing, right? And we're not looking at that. We just want to throw them in jail. And I'm not saying they shouldn't go to jail. I'm saying we got to do some other things, so that's not even an option for them. They don't even have to consider it. The other thing we're doing, and we're just getting it started, is a STEM program. Kids are already interested in gun and violence and crime scenes. So now we're going to show them how to do it through STEM. Right. So now they get to learn about DNA. They get to learn about ballistics. They get to learn some other things. We have a partnership with Bowie State University. So now they get natural mentorships. So instead of the 50-plus-year-old lady trying to mentor a kid, they get an 18, 19, or 20-year-old who's much closer to them, but also a college student who can expose them to more. So it's an amazing program that we're doing with the highest risk kids in the community. So the pilot program is with kids who are in a level 5 school, which means these are kids that did not make it in public school and have gotten kicked out of several schools. So these are the kids who are most at risk to do gun violence. And we ask people, pour into our programs. We also do a fashion show. Like I said, Ayana was a basketball player and a fashionista. So we do a fashion show. Our fashion show is May 11th, the Saturday before Mother's Day. And it's a high-end fashion show. It's not, grandma's fashion show at the church. This is high-end. And we have designers
laughing. It's the real deal, Holyfield.
It's the real deal. It's called Impact Couture, because we are raising money to send our kids to college, and our children have to answer questions about gun violence. So we're sending kids to college who are impacted by gun violence. And you don't have to have a 3.0, because not everybody's going to have a 3.0. But if you could get away to college, because I'm telling you, for myself and my friends, being able to go from Newark, New Jersey to Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina, totally saved my life. And I need people to understand that opportunity is what changed the trajectory for me. And so that's why my husband and I, even before Ayana was killed, the community work that we did was really helping kids get to college and be able to stay in college. And we still do a little bit of that, but we are really focusing on gun violence, because if kids aren't alive, they're not going to get to college.
Exactly.
So those are just some of the programs we do, but I invite you to go to our website. Whether you volunteer with us or you volunteer with a larger organization or another organization, please put some work into gun violence. We need all hands on deck. We cannot afford to lose any more children. Just in an hour that we've done this program, 2 to 3 people have gotten killed. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
Exactly. And for your organization, where are you doing your organization at?
We're in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, but we really service the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. But gun violence is not, it has no boundaries. So we go wherever. So while our programs are here because we're located here, like for our STEM program, we're trying to get the funding for that so that we can replicate that all over the U.S. because that's going to be a major program exposing kids to possible career opportunities in something they already interested in. We have to make it relevant for them, right? Because a lot of times Black people not necessarily into science. Our numbers for science are very low, but if we can make it relevant, if we can make it where you already interested in DNA and crime and show you that, then we make it relevant for you and there's an opportunity there. So while we are in the DMV, we're raising money to get this kind of, if you will, patented, so that we can share it throughout the United States. Same thing with the speaking engagements and other things that we do. I coined myself the public safety strategist, right? I am all about public safety, whether that's mental health, gun violence. I train police officers on mental illness and how to work in the community. So as a public safety strategist, I go all over the United States explaining and talking about the things that I want to see. And what I love about your podcast, and I got to say this, and thank you, because these ain't the first time I said these things. I've been saying it for the last 7 years, but the news don't talk, they don't show, they'll show me crying, right? Which who's going to gain anything from that? But when I talk about real strategies to save our community, that gets cut. So thank you for an opportunity to allow me to be able to say that.
Yes,
You
that's
know,
definitely one of the things. Hold on, Jason. That's one of the things that I believe in over here at PGT Time. I'm not editing anything. We are giving the families the opportunity to come on here, say exactly how they feel, what they want to say. If they don't want to say it, they ain't got to say it. But you're able to really say what you want to say versus like the news cutting everything out, only showing the tears and not showing what you really have to say, what God laid on your heart to say. Go ahead, Jason.
I want to commend you because everything that I'm listening to can come through education, right? People can go get this material and learn, how and what to do. But from what I'm hearing is there's a lot of action that you're promoting with everything that you're doing, from the basketball games to, being, as we kind of coined earlier in the episode here, that, boots to the ground. You're putting yourself the in the community and really working with community to try to help these youngsters really stay focused, especially at the high risk level, right? Because a lot of them have a woe is me, or I'm not enough, or why should I, because of, and no one believes in me because of, where you guys are setting up and saying like, no, you are the future, you're everything, and allow me to help and get your mental together so that way you can be a stronger individual and not have to use so much brawn. You know what I'm saying? You can use your mental space to be successful as well, as long as you're thinking correctly, right? And not thinking from a survival standpoint, right? Because when we're backed against the wall and in a survival space, we're moving off an instinct, and sometimes those instincts aren't correct because it's fight or flight, right? And those type of things tend to, if all you know is fight instead of flight, you're gonna fight your way out, and sometimes that can be disastrous, right? So it's a blessing to be able to hear that you guys are helping from a different standpoint, especially with the young community. So I thank you for that, and listening into this is absolutely amazing. It is very regretful that it came through such a disaster, right? But it's almost like a cocoon or a butterfly. It's like, you went through something very disastrous to come out with something so beautiful, and then also put such a beautiful name on it, and give representation to your daughter for the process and the progress that y'all guys are putting in.
Thank you. And boots on the ground is really important, right? Because I could go on accolades and just be like, you know what, I'm approaching from an academic level, but our kids ain't on the academic level. So I have a board member, one of my board members, she and I have gone out into the hood and passed out gun locks. And we'll tell people, listen, we know you got guns. We not the police. We just want you to protect the gun that you have in your house, because if your child or if your sibling gets it, or your mentally ill uncle gets it, it's going to be a disaster. And people have been receptive, right? So we got to get to the point where we're not afraid of us, right? Or everybody can do something, right? Even if you
Absolutely.
just giving information on your social media, but everybody got to be able to do something. If you can't do something, write a check. If you can't write a check, show up,
Yep.
right? Like
Yep.
take names. Like we got plenty of programs. Like everybody, we don't have the luxury. Like we are not safe. And I don't know if people watching the news. I don't know if people are getting this. Like literally, we are not safe. Nobody's child should go to 5 funerals of homicide victims before they finish high school. Like that's ridiculous. It's
It
crazy.
is, yeah.
That's crazy.
Exactly.
And I just stopped counting of how many funerals the kids have been to since Ayana died in the last 7 years. Like I can't even keep count because it's
Too many.
heartbreaking to me. Yeah.
Too
And,
many.
and things aren't changing. And it can be anybody.
Yep. I hope y'all listening. We try to preach that all the time over here at Peach Tea Time. It could be any one of us. Any one of us. So we are about to get into our Wednesday night commercial. After we come back from our commercial, we are going to go straight into the tribute, baby. Now I don't know if Dr. Tyrese has never seen one of our tributes or not. I don't know, but we got a tribute for you, baby. We got one for you. So y'all, please make sure y'all stick around. We finna go into this quick commercial. It's gonna be quick, and we coming right on back. Jason gonna say his spiel because this is one of those. If you know something, say something shows. So Jason got to put some fear out there. So when we come back from this commercial break, Jason gonna scare y'all. Okay, that's what he want to do. He want to scare you. Here we go. Hey y'all, it's your girl, the missus with the kisses, baby. Mwah. Thank y'all so much for joining me and Jason tonight. Thank you. And if we got a special guest, thank you, special guest. I thank you for coming, sharing your story. But y'all make sure y'all watch us each and every Wednesday, okay? Each and every Wednesday, 9:00 p.m. Eastern Time. Where you said? You said where? Roku TV, Facebook, YouTube, and also Twitch, baby. Twitch. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Peachy Tea Time spelled with a Y. And make sure you also follow me on all the other platforms just as well. Thank you so much for joining us each and every Wednesday, 9:00 p.m. Eastern Time. Back to the show we go, baby. We going back. Bye. All right, Jason.
Yeah, she said.
See, in a few more weeks, probably by next month sometime, we're gonna have this part, set up. So you're gonna have the screen. You're gonna have the screen, and I'm gonna know the cue when to start the tribute. You gonna do something to give me a cue. Okay. Now it is Jason time to shine. It is Jason time to scare the hell out of y'all. Okay. I just want to let y'all know. Jason,
man.
Go ahead. Do your thing, baby.
Hey, look, I mean, we say this all the time. It's a very sad time to be able to talk like this, right? But we know that y'all out there. I see the numbers fluctuating. I see people viewing it. I see people in the chat. You know what I mean? And it's one of you that's out there that did this, right? So it's at some point where it sits on your heart. I know it's been 7 years. I know y'all feel like y'all got away with it. I know it feel like maybe they not gonna find us. But sometimes when we actually get on these platforms and continue to talk about it and use our voice to say, the time is now. If you know something, say something. Somebody knows something. Somebody gonna say something. It's about time that we give closure. Yes. Dr. TYREESE Mcallister says she has closure. She feels, in a good space about it. But you know what? Some people might not have it. There might be people in the family that don't have that closure and want it because they want somebody behind bars, right? You're careless. And when you're careless, there's consequences. And with consequences come repercussions, right? You see how that timeline go? So it's about time that you get your repercussions. Yeah? So
it's about that time.
We watching, y'all watching. If you know something, say something. That's the bottom line. But they coming for you. It's coming for you. Somebody gonna say something. You hear me?
And then I come in We're gonna have it all planned out next time. Not next time, but probably next month. And then I come in and I tell y'all, go and get your tissue. All them pillow talkers out there. Yeah, I hope them girls is watching. Cause now y'all finna cry. Y'all finna be sad. That's what I want y'all to do. I want y'all to cry. I want y'all to be sad. Okay? Because I want y'all to wake up tomorrow and be like, you know what? I remember little June said what he said. Let me go straight to the police right now. Because I do not want this sitting on my spirit. It's been 7 years. Somebody know something. You've been sitting on this for 7 doggone years. Baby, it's time to talk. Here we go.
Would you know my name if I saw you in heaven? Would it be the same if I saw you in heaven? Oh, I must be strong and carry on, 'cause I know I don't belong here in heaven. Oh, would you hold my hand if I saw you in heaven? Oh, would you help me stand if I saw you in heaven? Oh, I'll find my way through night and day, 'cause I know I just can't stay here in heaven. Oh, oh, here in heaven. Oh, 'cause I don't belong here in heaven.
All right, Jason. We did it again. We did it again.
Yeah. So she's
Another
such a beautiful woman. That smile,
beautiful.
right?
Beautiful.
Like her parents said, that smile was infectious. Wow.
Yes. We are about to bring Ayana's mother back up. She is down there watching, and Dr. Tyrese is on her way up now. All right, Dr. Tyrese, that tribute was for you, your family, your friends, Ayana's friends, um, for everybody. So I will send that to you after the show, through your email. Um, I have to ask this question. You've been doing the homicide thing. You know, we keep it 100 over here. This is how we talk. You doing the homicide thing, and now to sit here on a platform, on social media, and have to talk about your daughter being murdered, transitioning. Does it feel surreal still after 7 years.
Yeah, it does. First of all, thank you for the tribute. It was beautiful.
You're
And
welcome.
I thank God that I made it through without crying. Ooh, that was rough, but I
Don't
did
worry,
it.
the pillow talk,
Um,
they crying. The ones that have been listening, they crying.
I'm sure. I'm hoping my husband's okay in the next room. But yeah, you know, I'm a crier, and so I mean, crying is good for you. And so as a therapist, I say that all the time. It's good to have a good cry. And because when Ayana was killed in 2017, not a lot of girls got killed, which is why you see so much coverage. We had quite a bit of news coverage.
A lot.
Yeah, actually a lot of news coverage. Now girls are getting killed just as much as guys. And so people, daughters who are getting killed now don't get the same amount of coverage we got 7 years ago. Um, so I've been able to get through getting through these interviews. And my office that I'm sitting in right now is Ayana's room. And so, I feel her spirit often in the house, and Ayana actually sends me messages. Like she sends me messages and they sometimes weird because she was a little weird and quirky. But it's usually right on time. And so I do appreciate being in touch with the spiritual side of me to be able to have a level of communication with her. And just knowing, that I know that I know that I know that God got me, right? And that Ayana's
Amen.
homicide didn't happen to me, right? And as hard as it is, it happened for me because I thought my purpose was just to get these kids through school, and then I was just gonna be on chill. But God is like, there is no chill for you. And people who know me know I ain't got no chill now. That I'm constantly working. I'm in this office probably more than I'm anywhere else, which is was her room. And I'm a public safety strategist, right? Like it's what she was going to do as a police officer. And while I did not want her to be a police officer, it was no talking her out of it. And now I was given a job working with the police, with MPD, the Metropolitan Police Department. Never applied for this job. They called me and was like, the mayor wants this program and you the one to do it. Got Ayana from heaven has orchestrated a lot of things in conference with God. And I'm going to share this. I'm going to be on a TV show called Love and Marriage DC. And how that came to be, I'm the therapist on the show. My marriage ain't on the show. But how that came to be is because the detective that was on Ayana's case sat in my class, didn't know me, and I didn't know him. And he was on this show and he said, I want you to be on the show. And when we started talking, and I had told him I had been on another reality TV show because my daughter got killed, he knew who I was talking about. Now, this is 5 years after she got killed. He said, she went to Largo High School. She played ball. I'm like, yeah, how you know? He said, I was a detective on the case. He didn't state a detective on her case, which is why I didn't know him. But again, from heaven, Ayana is orchestrating stuff with God because she ain't in charge. God's in charge on my behalf because the part of the show, what I'm doing on the show, also talks. It brings notoriety to my platform, which is helping police deal with people who have mental illness. And how would that have happened, right? Like, I mean, it's just I just say if you don't believe in God, trust the God that I serve. Because when I say things have been orchestrated that only God could have done it, only God could have put this together, right? Like it wasn't by my doing, or it wasn't like if you know somebody, it was none of that. The fact that I'm teaching a class and this officer approaches me about being on the show, don't know the connection yet. He just see me doing my mental health training, and he's like, yeah, we need your help on the show. And
Wow.
God does the rest. And I believe Ayana is petitioning, help my mom, give my mom this, right?
Give
And
my mama
so
a chance.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful because So many things have happened as a result of my tremendous loss. And even like when you talk about like the accolades, I've gotten a lot of rewards for my work. I got 2 honorary doctorates for my work in gun violence. And
Wow.
it's kind of hard to accept that, right? Because it's such a painful loss, that the reason why I get all these accolades. I've gotten it voted mental health advocate of the year, and I appreciate everything. Don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't appreciate it, but it's still hard to accept because it came as such a loss for me, and not because I'm so amazing, but because I experienced something that I don't want anybody else to
That's an
experience.
experience. Yeah.
I just really want God to be able to use me. And because of my loss, because my loss was so tremendous, I can speak from a place of passion about it, right? I never thought gun violence was good, but the passion that I approach it with now is different.
Exactly. Well, I definitely want to start off by saying kudos to you, to your husband. Hey, hubby, watching in the other room. Hey, but you guys did an amazing job. Sound like um with your daughters,
Thank
um,
you.
and after the fact of Ayana, um, I applaud you. I
Thank
applaud
you.
you. I'm thankful for you. I'm so thankful for you.
Thank you.
And not just to be here on PGT time, just for God to let me cross paths with a woman like you.
Thank
You
you.
know what I'm saying? So I'm so thankful for that. We have came to the end of the show. But again, I thank you so much.
Thank you.
At the end of the show, we always ask that our guests in the show. But don't worry about it. I'm gonna tell you what to say. I'm gonna tell you what to say. So, Jason, is there anything you want to say before we end the show?
Um, your strength is amazing. Your family, your support, your community is obviously showing their backbone and showing that they're there for you. So it's a blessing. I want to give nothing but high praises to your daughter, especially being through or going through such a traumatic space. You know, she was there and still being able to process and move forward. So continue to be there for her as you I know you will, because you're a phenomenal mother. It sounds right. And then also, you know, dad, continue to be as an amazing father as well. But before I get out of here, don't go follow me. You ain't got to look for me, but we all need to make sure that we do go visit ayanamcallister.com. Everybody go take a look at it, at least just see what it's all about. Scroll up, scroll down, click a few buttons. Again, it's ayanamcallister.com.
All
Thank
right.
you.
And I also have to make sure that I shout out Quella. Quella just as well, baby girl, thank God. Thank God you are still here. And Deja, thank God that you are still here. You're here to share this story just as well. Um, we love you, girls. We love you over here at PGT Time. Now, Dr. Tyrese, you get to end the show. We're gonna
Okay.
cool ourselves down. You gonna be the only person on the screen. All I need you to do is put that one finger up like you at church and get ready to go use the bathroom. Just put that one finger up, and that's how I know you're done. Okay. I want you to talk to the killers. That's what I want you to do. Talk to them. If you can say what 7 years later, you have forgiven them, all of it. Tell them exactly how you feel now, 7 years later. You spoke back then. You spoke in between then. But as of today, what do you want to say to them? All right, y'all. We are about to get out of here. Dr. Tyrese about to end out the show. Take us on out. And you already know. You better listen to her and you better stay here to listen to my babies at the end of the show just as well. Okay? And Dr. Tyrese, if you can stay on just a couple minutes after I end the broadcast, just so I can say a couple things to you. All right, girl.
Absolutely.
It's your time to shine, girl. It's your time to shine.
All right. So what I would say, not even just to Ayana's killer, but to anybody who's killed, anybody who's taken somebody else's life, that repentance is what needs to happen. I'm not necessarily a person that believes everybody has to go to jail. I believe God will deal with you. But repentance is is something that everybody who's taking a life needs to think about, because the life, God gives us the power to give life, but we are never supposed to take a life. And I want killers, not just Ayana's killer, but all people who have killed, to know that I pray for you. I pray that whatever happened to you that would make you pick up a gun and harm somebody else gets healed, right? Because I believe it, hurting other people comes from a hurt place. And so I pray for you. I pray for those people who hurt other people intentionally or unintentionally, and that you find some peace to be able to deal with all of the stuff that has happened. And I just pray that for Ayana's killer, that you do turn yourself in so that you can have the peace, right? We all must pay, and you pay now or you pay later. But we all must pay for all of these we've done. I have to pay for mine, and you have to pay for yours. It might not be jail, but I do want you to know that, my family still prays for you. At least I do. I'm gonna talk for myself, because not everybody in my family praying, but that I pray for the person who killed my kid, that they can find some peace and know that they've been forgiven. That God forgives them, because God is a forgiving God. The God that I serve is a forgiving God, and that God forgives them and I forgive them. And hopefully they can find peace and turn their life around and change their life in a way that they can do something that adds life to other people, pay it forward to somebody else, because you have really broken our hearts. Like, there's no other way. And I think that people who kill other people don't realize the devastation they leave other people in. And while you see me doing okay today, that it's not okay every day. And that it's not okay for my family, and for people in my family. And so, anyway, I pray that you get the peace that you need.
Would you know my name if I saw you in heaven? Would it be the same if I saw you in heaven? Oh, I must be strong and carry on, 'cause I know I don't belong here in heaven. Oh, would you hold my hand if I saw you in heaven? Oh, would you help me stand if I saw you in heaven? Oh, I'll find my way through night and day, 'cause I know I just can't stay here in heaven. Oh, oh, here in heaven. Oh, 'cause I don't belong here in heaven.
Return, please